Derek Banjo was the epitome of privilege and wealth, born into a family where money was never a concern. From a young age, he was surrounded by luxury, with every desire catered to without hesitation. He had everything a young man could possibly want: a collection of luxury cars that turned heads wherever he went, the latest gadgets that kept him at the forefront of technology, designer clothes that made him the envy of his peers, and an open invitation to exclusive events that most people could only dream of attending. But this life of abundance also led him down a path of carelessness and excess, a lifestyle that seemed almost inevitable given his circumstances. Derek became infamous for his extravagant parties, where the drinks never stopped flowing, and the guest list included only the city's elite, making them the most talked about events. His carefree approach to school was just as notorious. He hardly ever showed up for classes, choosing instead to spend his days indulging in the luxuries his wealth provided. Although he was enrolled in one of Nigeria's top universities, Derek viewed his education as nothing more than a formality, a requirement to fulfill rather than an opportunity to learn. In his eyes, a degree was just a piece of paper, something that held little significance in the world he inhabited, a world where money and powerful connections could unlock any door and pave the way to success without the need for academic achievement. Kelly Johnson, in contrast to Derek Banjo, was the complete opposite in every way. Coming from a humble background, she had always known the value of hard work and perseverance. Kelly was a brilliant student, her intelligence shining through in every class, and her dedication to her studies was unwavering. Unlike Derek, who had everything handed to him, Kelly had earned her place at the university through sheer determination and a full scholarship that was a testament to her hard work. Her focus was laser-sharp, driven by a deep desire to lift her family out of the poverty that had always been a shadow over their lives. Kelly had no time for the distractions that often pulled others away from their goals, especially not from someone like Derek, whose arrogance and wasteful lifestyle she found repulsive. She viewed him as the embodiment of everything wrong with the privileged, unable to understand how someone could squander the opportunities that wealth provided. Though they attended the same university, their paths rarely crossed, and when they did, it was never without tension. The friction between them was palpable, a clash of values and lifestyles that highlighted just how different their worlds were. Their first encounter was nothing short of a disaster. It had taken place on a sunny afternoon, when Derek, in his typical flashy manner, decided to make an obnoxious comment about Kelly's simple and modest attire in front of his group of friends. With his signature smirk, he pointed out how her clothing was far from the designer labels that he and his circle were accustomed to, intending to amuse his friends at her expense. Kelly, however, was not one to be easily intimidated or embarrassed. Without missing a beat, she responded with a sharp retort that left Derek momentarily stunned. Her words were laced with a biting wit that cut through his arrogance, making it clear that she was not someone who could be belittled so easily. Her response put him firmly in his place, causing his friends to fall silent in shock. Though Derek tried to brush it off with a laugh, pretending it didn't bother him, the truth was that Kelly had earned his grudging respect in that moment, something he would never openly admit to anyone, not even to himself. From that day forward, Kelly made it a point to steer clear of Derek whenever possible, wanting nothing to do with him or his privileged lifestyle. She saw him as a symbol of everything she despised: arrogance, wastefulness, and a lack of understanding of the struggles that people like her faced every day. Derek, on the other hand, couldn't shake the memory of their encounter. Although he continued with his carefree existence, throwing parties and skipping classes as usual, a part of him remained secretly intrigued by Kelly. She was unlike anyone he had ever met, someone who didn't care about his wealth or status and wasn't afraid to stand up to him. This intrigue, however, was something he kept hidden, buried beneath layers of pride and the need to maintain his image as the untouchable golden boy of the university. One fateful night, everything took a dramatic turn for Kelly. It was a typical evening for her, spent in the library for a late-night study session, a routine she followed diligently to keep up with her demanding coursework. She was engrossed in her notes and textbooks, her mind racing with thoughts of upcoming exams and assignments. As the clock inched closer to midnight, she decided it was time to head back to her hostel for some much-needed rest. The campus was unusually quiet at that hour, with the usual hustle and bustle replaced by a profound stillness that seemed almost oppressive. Kelly walked alone along the dimly lit paths, her footsteps echoing softly against the cold, empty ground. Her focus remained on the looming exams, her thoughts a whirlwind of equations, essays, and deadlines. Out of the silence and shadows, two men suddenly emerged, their presence startlingly abrupt. They moved swiftly and silently, closing the distance between them and Kelly before she had a chance to react. The fear that surged through her was immediate and paralyzing as she realized their intentions. She tried to struggle, her body tensing as she fought against their overpowering grip, but they were too strong, their hands relentless. Her attempts to scream for help were futile, swallowed by the darkness and the vast emptiness of the night. The quiet campus, which had earlier seemed serene, now felt suffocatingly oppressive, amplifying her terror as she was dragged away. Just as Kelly was about to lose all hope, a sudden glimmer of light appeared in the distance, cutting through the darkness like a beacon of salvation. It was the headlights of a sleek sports car, gleaming brightly as it slowly approached. The car belonged to Derek, who had been heading home after a night out at a club. Unfortunately, his night had taken a turn for the worse when his car broke down on the outskirts of the campus. Frustrated and cursing his bad luck, Derek had decided to walk the rest of the way home, his mood as dark as the night sky. As he trudged along, grumbling under his breath, he was jolted out of his irritation by the sounds of a struggle echoing through the quiet campus. The noises were unmistakable, a mix of muffled cries and scuffling that cut through the stillness. Instinctively alert, Derek's attention was drawn to the commotion. As he drew closer, he saw a horrifying scene unfolding before him. Two men were assaulting Kelly, their intentions clear and their actions brutal. The sight ignited a blazing fury within Derek, eclipsing his earlier frustration and turning it into a burning rage. Without a moment's hesitation, he rushed toward the scene, his mind focused solely on intervening. With his fists clenched tightly, he launched himself at the attackers, swinging with all his might. The men, caught completely off guard by Derek's sudden and aggressive assault, were taken aback. They quickly realized they were outmatched and, fearing that they might be apprehended, they made a hasty retreat. Their hurried departure left Kelly alone, trembling and shaken, lying on the ground amidst the chaos that had just ensued. Derek helped her up, his own adrenaline still pumping. Kelly, shaken but grateful, could barely find the words to thank him. "I couldn't just stand by and do nothing," Derek said, his voice laced with anger, not at her, but at the men who had dared to harm her. "Even if we were the worst of enemies, I wouldn't let that happen." The following morning, Derek made it a priority to ensure that the men who had attacked Kelly were arrested. His actions were decisive and thorough. He contacted the campus security and provided them with all the information they needed to track down and detain the assailants. It was a stark contrast to the typical image of Derek that everyone, including Kelly, was used to. For the first time, Kelly saw a different side of him, one that wasn't wrapped up in arrogance or self-indulgence. This was a side of Derek that was concerned with justice and willing to take concrete steps to rectify a wrong. The way he took charge of the situation, showing genuine care and a sense of responsibility, was completely unexpected. His willingness to stand up for what was right and his determination to ensure that the attackers faced consequences revealed a depth to his character that Kelly had never seen before. This new perspective made her question her previous assumptions about him. She couldn't help but feel a shift in her perception of Derek, recognizing that there was more to him than the privileged persona he usually displayed. Days after the incident, it wasn't long before Kelly and Derek's paths crossed once again. This time, their interaction was marked by a surprising absence of the animosity that had characterized their earlier encounters. The tension between them had dissipated, replaced by a more genuine and open exchange. Their conversation began with a discussion about the attack, how it had affected Kelly, and Derek's reasons for intervening. As they talked, they naturally moved on to other topics, gradually revealing more about themselves. They began to share their thoughts on life, their goals, and their dreams. Derek, in particular, found this new dialogue refreshing and revealing. For the first time, he was opening up to someone who was not interested in his wealth or his social status but genuinely cared about him as a person. This connection, free from the usual pretense and superficiality, allowed Derek to explore aspects of himself he had rarely shared with anyone. He appreciated the opportunity to be seen for who he truly was, rather than for the privileges he had been born into. Kelly's influence on Derek was deeply transformative. She had a way of challenging his long-held views and questioning the choices he had made throughout his life. Through their conversations, she made him rethink what truly mattered, revealing the value of things that money couldn't buy, such as a meaningful education, a clear sense of purpose, and genuine love and connection. As a result of Kelly's influence, Derek started to view his education in a new light. He realized that his studies were not just a formality but a crucial part of shaping his future. Determined to make a change, he began to take his academic responsibilities seriously. He cut back on his extravagant parties and started dedicating more time to his studies and personal growth. This shift in priorities was not lost on his parents. They noticed the positive changes in Derek's attitude and behavior with great relief and joy. They were thrilled to see their son stepping up and taking responsibility for his life. Recognizing the significant role Kelly had played in this transformation, they welcomed her into their lives with open arms, expressing their heartfelt gratitude for the positive impact she had made on their son. As their relationship deepened, Derek realized that for all his wealth, he had been missing something vital, meaning. Kelly had given him that, and in doing so, she had given him a reason to be a better man. Their love grew stronger, built on mutual respect and shared values. Together, they navigated the challenges of university life, supporting each other through thick and thin. In the end, Derek graduated with honors, a far cry from the carefree student he once was. But more than the degree, he had gained something far more valuable, a partner who believed in him, who had helped him discover his true potential. Their story became a testament to the power of love and how it can change even the most wayward of hearts. For Derek, meeting Kelly was the turning point of his life, the moment when he realized that the greatest riches aren't found in material wealth, but in the people who inspire us to be our best selves.